Hello, friends and fellow assholes. Jay here.
Hi, Sean here.
And this is little Gertie. We don't know how long she'll stick around for. But today we're talking about family movies because it is Family Day long weekend in Ontario. So we're celebrating with some of our family. And hopefully you can with yours. So, Sean and I have each picked a top 5 movies that are available on Disney+. So, we were subscribers the very first day of Disney+, which happened to be the very first day we got home from our Disney++ vacation.
That's right, it worked out well.
It did work out well. We didn't have to, mourn it too much because we could keep streaming those movies, and we've been having a Disney party since.
Pretty much, yeah.
For Sean's birthday, we actually did a 24-hour movie marathon of all the Star Wars movies back to back to back to back. Many, not all, but many of which were on Disney+. We had to go to Netflix for a couple.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, but there are lots more movies, even besides maybe the obvious ones, that you can watch with your family. So it is kind of a great streaming service to have, even in addition to Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatever else you have. We're enjoying it. Our little nephews are enjoying it. And I think it's been worth the new monthly fee.
I think so. There is a lot on there, and we were renting these movies occasionally anyway. So instead of renting 2 of them, we just have Disney Plus for a month. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a pretty good trade-off.
Yeah. So Sean, what have you got there on your 5th position?
Number 5 is Holes with Shia LaBeouf.
Okay.
That's young Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, a young Shia LaBeouf. Okay. So you think that's a good one for families?
I do think that's a good one for families. So Shia LaBeouf is a troubled kid who gets sent off into I think it's Texas, the Texas Badlands.
Texas.
And has to dig holes because the owners of this kids' camp, detention camp, is looking for some mysterious artifact. So it's a fun movie. Like, there's a gang of kids. They kind of play off each other. It's neat. I enjoyed it. I didn't see it as a kid because I wasn't a kid when it came out. But it still, I think, was fun to watch as an adult.
Okay. Good. Well, in my 5th position, I have the Goofy movie.
Oh.
So that is a movie that is near and dear all of our little millennial hearts. It came out in 95, so many of us would have grown up with it in the house, in one of those old vinyl VHS bubble cassettes.
Yes, the classic puffy
Disney,
case.
Yeah, the puffy case that was so much bigger than all the little cardboard cases in VHS. Squeaked every time you opened and closed it. So yeah, I mean, obviously the Goofy movie is a lesser Disney movie, but for whatever reason, it really has a cult following among people who are parents themselves now. So, it's about a young teenage boy named Max. His dad is Goofy.
That's hard.
And Max likes a girl at school and makes her a promise about a boy band that he knows of, Powerline.
Okay.
But he's unable to fulfill this promise and parents always have the worst timing, but Goofy decides that he and his son have been growing apart and they're going to save their relationship with a road trip.
Oh no.
Yes. So here's the thing. Even though Max is a dog and a cartoon and Goofy's son, there was a certain hotness to Max.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. It was, very exciting to explore your budding sexuality by having a little bit of a crush on this cartoon character.
Okay.
It was a safe place to think about holding hands with him.
Okay.
If you could be the lucky recipient of all the trouble he went to impress this girl at his school.
Was she also a dog?
Well, one would hope.
Okay.
So that's my top spot. I think it's time we start passing this down to the next generation.
Okay.
And I think it's always kind of a sweet father-son little movie that I think a lot of people will enjoy.
Well, then, I like your recommendation. Next on my list at number 4 is Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Okay. Wow. Deep cuts here.
Yeah, surprising that it's on Disney Plus,
Mm-hmm.
but as you said a couple of days ago, Disney now owns everything,
Mm-hmm.
including Roger Rabbit, which is from the late 80s, maybe, I think.
Uh-huh.
And it is one of the first batch of modern live action / animation combos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a jaded detective who is hired to solve this mystery of who's killing all these cartoons. And it goes a lot of different ways, and you're gonna be surprised at who the villain is if you haven't seen it 100 times already.
And if Max was my crush, was Jessica Rabbit one of yours?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was a lady.
Yeah,
Woo.
she's still a sex symbol.
Yeah,
Like, the rest of that movie may have been a bit forgotten, but not Jessica Rabbit.
that's true. She was the standout
Standout, yeah.
of that movie, of all of the classic animated characters.
Yeah. Very good. Well, for my number 4, I have Togo, which is actually brand new content available just on Disney Plus. And it's sort of a response to Balto. So maybe you've heard of the Balto story or seen the Balto movie about the sled dog that could. Well, that's all horseshit. Turns out that all along it was really Togo who should have been getting the credit. So it is a story about an Alaskan dog sled team. Willem Dafoe is the man at the helm, and Togo is the little runt who could. So Willem Dafoe tries so hard to get rid of this dog. He doesn't want him. He thinks he's a liability until, of course, he wins his heart and trust. And then Alaska has a big diphtheria outbreak, and he has to get his dog team to get the medicine that'll save the kids in the community. This is a real story. And it was little Togo who got through the storm and saved everybody. So it's actually like a really sweet, heartwarming movie, and it's got some actually really good action sequences with the dogs. It's really good family fare, I think. I was really happy to see this movie from Disney Plus, and it's nice to see them putting out original content for this channel.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is what Netflix is now known for, is bankrolling tons of productions. And Disney Plus really, I think, also wants to compete in that arena. And Togo, I enjoyed it also. It is a good family, dog lover, wilderness adventure movie.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So next is my number 3, which is Cool Runnings.
Okay.
The story of the 1988 Olympics and the Jamaican bobsled team. A true story. You can't make it up. It's
Even
the
probably.
Calgary, Canada Olympics. And this was a huge story coming out of it, that Jamaica had a bobsled team and they're actually really good. So they didn't medal, spoiler alert, but they still gave it a good run despite all the odds being stacked against them and all the establishment types trying to keep them from ruining the spirit.
And it was a
of the
big
games.
story coming out of those games. Now we're used to that. Now, every news channel wants to have their heartwarming story for every sport, But this it dominated the news cycle, especially for a team that didn't medal. Everybody loved to hear about them and loved their story and kept track of them.
Well, it is a good story. And I mean, I don't know how accurate the movie is. I'm sure some liberties were taken. Like John Candy probably wasn't the coach. Let's just guess at that. It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. And it's another one that you can watch with your family.
Very good. Well, in my number 3 spot, I went with Mulan. So Mulan, the live action remake, is coming out at the end of March. So if you think you might see that with your kids, now might be a really good time to sit them down for the original, the Disney cartoon, which is actually a really nice movie, really well made. The live action has dispensed with Mushu, the little dragon voiced by Eddie Murphy.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, well, the live action is actually much more dark and serious. It takes after more the actual myth so it's not a strict adaptation of the cartoon. It's really kind of its own thing with a big focus on martial arts, and so we've lost the little dragon, which caused a lot of controversy, I think, in the Chinese community when it came out the first time. So it was probably for the best to get rid of the little dragon. And it's also not a musical.
Okay.
So I think it's a little warm up, a nice way to familiarize yourself with the story and see what's coming. And I like Mulan, and I think it's kind of one of the forgotten ones in the princess lineup. But I like it for exploring a different culture and being one of Disney's first non-white princesses.
Yes.
Even though she is not and never was a princess, she does get in the princess lineup.
She qualifies on a technicality. So you can watch the baby Mulan, and then you can watch the big guy Mulan. Mm-hmm. My number 2 is The Mighty Ducks.
The Mighty Ducks. Aw.
Yeah. So
I had such a crush on Joshua Jackson.
Yeah. Who didn't, right?
Who didn't?
Well, he's the heart of the team. He teaches Emilio Estevez like a million lessons. Emilio, the tough, wayward lawyer who has to
I forgot that he had a real job.
Yeah, he has a real job, and then he gets suspended from it because he's too serious and he's losing his way. So he has to go coach this.
He's too serious to be a lawyer?
I know. The firm is really worried about his mental health, so they send him
What?
off. Yeah, it's a very, very
no,
realistic
the firm is
story.
really worried about his billable hours, I think, probably.
So he has to go coach this hockey team, and they're the losers.
This is like a work mandated thing.
This is a work mandated
Weird,
thing.
okay.
And they send him back to the same league where he played as a kid, and his coach is now the coach of his rival team.
I can't believe they couldn't come up with a better reason for him to be coaching than that. That's
I know. It's
really
a bit of a stretch, and I mean, he pulls up in his limo to the first practice, and it's a real fish out of water story.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is a great time to revisit that because later this year, Disney Plus is coming out with a series of the Mighty Ducks. Coach Bombay is back.
Really?
Yes, he is. Emilio Estevez returns to star and produce in the show, and Lauren Graham is going to be on it as well.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool. So 10 episodes, I think they've got so far, and that's later in 2020. We'll see
Okay,
that.
I will look forward to that.
Yeah, I guess it'll be new hockey players to crush on. I mean, not me, though. It's disgusting. But out there's some little Jay, and she's just waiting for her first crush. And they can't all be Max Goof.
Some of them have to be Joshua Jackson.
What?
Is he coming back?
It's nobody has said that, so who knows? Fingers crossed, I guess. So my number 2 is WALL-E.
Oh, classic.
It is a classic. And the crazy thing is, it came out in 2008. That's 12 years ago already. So if you have kids who are 10 and under, they may have missed this. So, I mean, I think everybody should see this movie. I think it is a major movie from Pixar. It was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, nominated for 6 Oscars, in fact. And I think it's just such a beautiful film. It's crazy good animation, but I love the story too. And I really like the sort of environmental message it teaches us. And I think kids right now are really living that message. You know, I think we are of the generation who tried to teach our parents what recycling was. And that was really it. We were really about reduce, reuse, recycle. That's all our little selves could handle. It was way more than our parents did, who just, polluted the world. But I really find that our little nephew Brady, was a ranger to save the animals. And I remember once driving in the car with him, and he was mentioning all the pollution chimneys.
Oh yeah.
And we figured out that he meant the smokestacks. But of course, that's what his little eyes saw, were just these big pollution chimneys that were letting all this gross stuff into the air that we breathe. And why were we allowing that?
That we just take for granted.
Yeah, and I know, like, Hudson is also a nephew of ours. He, is so thoughtful. He thinks about things and has sometimes the wisest little questions. And I just feel like these kids, Wall is the movie they deserve. I don't know if we deserved it, because I think we're part of the problem, but this new generation is, I think, going to be part of the solution, and it's nice to pass those messages along.
I think that's nice. A nice thought. Mm-hmm. And it's a great movie, even in addition to the message.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So now we're on to my number one.
Number one. What have you got for us, Sean?
Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. The first one. Be very careful. It's hard to tell them apart. The first one is the good one.
Okay.
And it's good.
Is it?
Yes, it's a really good movie. It is like a Jerry Bruckheimer classic. Like, it's up there with Days of Thunder and Top Gun and The Rock.
Oh, so you do know that I hate this movie, and you're listing all the movies I hate.
Yeah, it's in that genre, but
Yes.
It's fun.
Okay.
It's a fun pirate movie. It's a big adventure with Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, the pirate who is both the worst and best pirate of all time.
So this movie, which is crazy to me, is based on just a ride they had at Disney World. We've spent a lot of time at Disney World in the last year, and we'll be spending some more there later this year. And Pirates of the Caribbean is definitely a ride that we like to go on with the little kids. Our nephews come with us. But even without kids, we're going on that ride. And it's really just a slow, dark boat ride with animatronics. And they have since added animatronics that look disturbingly like Johnny Depp.
Yes.
But it's crazy that they built this whole franchise out of a very short, not very plot-heavy ride.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they had that whole sequence of movies that were based on rides, like The Haunted Mansion starring Eddie Murphy, which immediately was forgotten. But Pirates of the Caribbean stuck around, and yeah, I mean, there's 4 sequels, and there's always talk of them making more, except I'm pretty sure that the most recent movie is the most expensive movie ever made. So it's hard to make money off of those at this point with everyone that they've added.
Yeah, and now they're doing Jungle Cruise instead.
Okay.
Another ride at Disney World, which has been turned into a movie starring The Rock and Emily Blunt.
Well, it just makes sense because those 2 rides are right next to each other.
Right.
So if you're looking for inspiration,
like one,
yeah.
You didn't have to go very far for that.
No, you didn't. And they're both just sitting right there full of ideas, I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know how they got from Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride, to Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl, the wonderful movie. But they did. That is Hollywood at its best.
So for my number one is another original movie from Disney Plus, one that just came out, I think, last week. Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made. I watched this movie as a grown-up, and I loved this movie. I was very surprised by how lovely I thought it was. So Timmy Failure is a little boy who runs a detective agency with his imaginary best friend, who is a polar bear named Total. And he's a weird little kid, I guess, a little bit struggling socially with his peers. So this imaginary friend is good to him, and yeah, he loves doing his detective stories. But then, life overtakes him, and he and his mother are having some struggles, and he's trying to learn to fit in with new people and make friends his own age who are real and cope at school. But the movie just has a really fun tone to it. I really kind of thought It felt like a Wes Anderson film for kids, like a starter movie. Just, I mean, not that Wes Anderson-y, but just the fact that it kind of, even though it takes place in the real world, like I think Portland.
Yep.
But it just has such a stylistic, distinguishing look to it, and a feel and a palette, and it's a little offbeat and eccentric, and I really loved seeing this. And though I rarely say this, I hope we see more from him. I hope there's a sequel. This was a character I really grew attached to, and I loved the whole premise, and the CG, actually, there is a polar bear following this kid around all the time. And it looks great, it's fun, it's funny. I really, really liked this one.
That's good. I hope there is a sequel. I mean, I think that is the dream, right? So if we have 4, whatever they are, Christmas Princes on Netflix, then we can have 4 Timmy Failures on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus, yeah. Well, it was a really, really great little movie. It's exciting to see original content. Disney Plus is not coming out with that many of them. So, it's exciting when there is one, and it was really good to see it be strong, a really strong contender.
I mean, I think that's Disney Plus is not going to beat Netflix as far as quantity.
Certainly not right out of the gates.
Not right out of the gate.
I mean, it has, lots of movies that are in theaters, including lots right now. So, it doesn't have to compete with Netflix because it was already a movie studio and an animation studio. And it's certainly got a huge vault full of movies that are not just Disney anymore. In fact, how many seasons of The Simpsons are on Disney Plus?
Yeah, like 30.
Yeah, so there's a lot that they've got out there, and so it's nice that they are writing just for this platform. And I was so glad to see this. I think it's a really good movie for the whole family. It's a kid's movie that parents won't hate, so that's always a plus.
That's a big plus. Mm-hmm. That is not an easy thing to find or to create. So it's really, those are the gems when it's a movie that can appeal to everyone.
Yeah. So it's shaping up to be a really cold weekend here, I think. So it's kind of nice if you're spending a bit of your long weekend indoors to gather your family around and maybe check out one of these new titles.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.